Now, it's no secret to regular viewers of The Late Debate and The Sunday Showdown. Brilliant shows, you should watch them, nothing to do with the fact that I'm on them. But it's no secret to viewers that I have a fair bit of disdain for councils. I mean, I reckon we should just abolish them all, or at least amalgamate them into oblivion. But New South Wales has its council elections in September, and Victoria is hot on the heels after that. And Sally Capp has departed as Lord Mayor of Melbourne. So there's a race on for her old job, and our Sky News friend, Nicholas Rees, has been filling the role in the meantime. But Labor Lord Mayoral candidate Phil Reid is running his campaign on the promise that he will ditch the Lord Mayor's robes and chains, saying that they are a quote-unquote ceremonial throwback to our colonial past to prove the importance of the office they hold. But Lord Mayors will put them on at the drop of a hat for the sake of a photo. Now, maybe I'm a fuddy-duddy or a young fogey, as some have called me. Actually, if you go to youngfogey.com.au, it comes up with a photo of me. I'm not joking. But I think we should hang on to these little bits of tradition. It's not like they're hurting anyone, but to hear his side, I'm joined now by Phil Reid. Phil, what's the problem with the robes? You know, it's not hurting anyone. It's a harmless bit of tradition, isn't it?
Well, Caleb, I think the challenge we've got here is that the people who tend to run for this office, I think, sometimes get motivated by the profile of the role instead of the responsibility of the role. And the mayoral robes lead themselves to that. And, you know, there's a real reason behind this. Melbourne is going to double its population in a little under 2 decades. 1 in 20 new houses in Victoria in the next 20 years will be built in the city of Melbourne. And yet, if you look at the campaign that's been waged here in Melbourne for Lord Mayor at the moment, we're getting candidates who are promising free coffee, candidates who want to bring along European-style Christmas markets. We're getting everything presented to us except the basics of council services that'll be required by that growing population. So I think if you take away the mayoral robes, people might focus on the modern challenge of governing instead of the photo opportunities. I
mean, I don't disagree with your point that there are a lot of people who get or try to get onto councils for the wrong reasons, and, you know, they're essentially just neighbourhood busybodies who want something to do on a Tuesday night. But are you seriously telling me that there are people who run for mayor specifically so they can wear the robes?
I don't think they run specifically because they can wear the robes, but I think it draws their focus around. Maybe those chains weigh down their decision-making process. And, you know, what you really need to do here... look, if you look at federal and state governments, you don't see prime ministers and premiers needing to punce around in, you know, a 200-year-old outfit to prove how important they are. They get on with the job of governing. And that's what we should be doing here in Melbourne. There's some pretty big challenges in front of us, and we need to be focused on that.
But I think a lot of people would then say, you know, yes, there are big challenges in front of us. Whether or not we're wearing robes for the Lord Mayor ain't one of them.
Yeah, look, and this is not a new concept. I was mayor of a suburban municipality about 30-odd years ago. I had much darker hair then, and I didn't wear the robes then because I wanted to make the same point. So it's not something that's just simply come about in this campaign. I've been involved in public life in various capacities along the way because I believe in the institutions of government, and I really take seriously the responsibilities of delivering the services that people rely on their governments for. And frankly, when you get an election campaign that's got candidates promising free coffee, European-style Christmas markets, turning the Docklands into Copenhagen, I'd say we've got the focus wrong. And I can't help but think that the chance to wear the mayoral robes and say, look at me, how important am I, is one of the things that might be driving some of those candidates.
You say it harks back to our colonial past. Are there any other elements of our colonial past that you'd like to get rid of?
No, look, I think that's really just highlighting the era from which these, from which the robes came from. And, you know, 200 years ago, all sorts of people wore robes. So you not only saw it in some of our parliaments, the speakers and presidents of our legislative assemblies and councils, the House of Representatives, they wore robes. But we've got rid of them. In a lot of judicial settings now, judges, lawyers have got rid of the robes. I accept not all have of them. So I just think it's a chance to be modern and contemporary, and that reference to the colonial past, it's a reference to the era from which they came from, and we need to be setting ourselves up for the next century, not a century 200 years ago.
I have to say, though, I've been a court reporter. I do like when you walk into a courtroom and you see the silks with their robes on and the wigs and the judges wearing the wigs. I don't know. I just think there's something nice about it. It doesn't do us any harm. But Phil Reid,
I've grown my own horsehair wig.
Mate, you've got enough hair as it is. Phil, you're a good sport. Thank you so much for joining me tonight.